Well, the time has come for the Drain Gear podcast. Not sure where we go from here, but we have a topic. I know that.
Yeah.
Something we've wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think we've talked about it a lot.
We have talked about it a ton. Tiffany, our marketing manager, has talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
She's happy. So we're going to talk about cameras today.
Yeah. Well, first of all, who are we though?
Well, I'm Jake. I'm Jake Saltzman.
All right. I'm Elijah Tony, related to Jake Saltzman.
Who do we work for?
Well,
Who do you work for?
I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah, American Pipelining
Who
Supplies.
do you work for?
American Pipelining
okay.
Supplies. It's me. It's APS. APS. Here in wonderful, beautiful Anderson, South Carolina, where we're filming live in our little studio that we have.
Yeah.
In our fine little building that we're very proud of. Our training center, if you will, used to be the Pecote Training Center. So that's kind of where we all came from, just so everybody is aware of that. We were with Pecote for a good while. I was with them for a long time.
You were with them a long time.
Yeah, great company. And we're now kind of transitioning into the trenchless side of what's happening in the industry. So we've taken a little bit beyond what Pecote has been doing for many years and trying to replicate some of the awesome processes that revolve around Pecote. So,
Yeah.
but in that, cameras.
Yeah.
Massive need for cameras. You got to have a good camera. You have to have good prep work, good insight into what it is that you're doing. So we decided to make our first podcast about cameras.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty a natural transition though. And I think some people might be like, well, you guys are lying and doing all this. Why wouldn't you start with that? But if you look at what was accomplished with Pecote, right? So when you move past the cable machines into the high-speed cleaning machines, all of a sudden, cameras are available, just like that. Just having the casing outside of the, to cover the shaft and all that kind of changes the whole dynamic. So not only the type of work you can do, how well you can do it, spot cleaning, those options are now available. But a big part of that is, what camera do I use? Why do I use a camera? When do I use a camera?
Right.
Because guys I think have adapted, are kind of moved past the phase of just send it and try to blow out the line and see what happens. Now it's a lot more methodical. You've got a camera, you can work in those areas. But there are obviously tons of different options.
Yeah,
I think we've explored a few of them.
Definitely. Yeah, obviously we've heard and seen a lot as it pertains to cameras. I think that one thing over the years that we've gotten a lot of is camera footage. Guys are always kind of trying to figure out what can I do with this particular situation, whether it's a deteriorated pipe or a pipe that's heavily scaled or has mineral deposits or fats, oils, and grease in the pipe. The question always comes to how do we verify things and how do we understand what the approach is, and it all starts kind of with a camera. So
yeah, and with that, I think the days of in relation to a conversation with a customer, those are gone.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we have cameras that can accurately measure the pipe. We can measure the size of cracks in pipe if we want. I mean, there's software that can do all kinds of stuff. And so, the days of wondering what could exactly be going on is kind of gone.
Yeah, and like you had alluded to earlier, is that the ability to be able to put a camera in the line while you're cleaning with some type of electromechanical equipment has been completely unheard of. Yeah. And so, with the introduction of Pecote's type of technology, whether you want to call it flex shaft or high-speed cleaning cables or whatever it is, you can put a camera in there along with that process, and it's just changed the game. It adds a level of precision, I think, that has never existed in the past. And so it's critical to have the right type of camera. We've seen some pretty epic failures that way as well, where guys have cut the camera head off with say a cyclone chain or something. It's always a fun day. But understanding that dynamic, obviously it's going to take a little bit of getting used to for some people, but The camera is kind of the gateway into a legit opportunity for not only the drain tech, but for the customer. It adds a level of credibility to the process.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
I remember the first time I ever ran a camera. And for those of you that don't know, Elijah and I are cousins. We're first cousins. And our Uncle Don, he's an amazing man. Uncle Don. Uncle Don. He's special. That's who I apprenticed for when I was a plumber. And I remember being out on a job site and seeing a video inspection for the very first time. And I was looking over the shoulder of a journeyman plumber that had put a black and white camera down. It's an old, like super old Spartan, like with a it had a VCR in it, right? That's awesome. So that doesn't seem like nostalgic to me really, but it is.
Yeah.
But it was a black and white camera, and I remember being like, "Whoa! Like look at all the tree roots in this pipe." I couldn't believe it. I'd cleaned a lot of sewers, but I didn't realize to what extent tree roots actually penetrated into a pipe. And it was pretty amazing. And that was just in black and white. So the ability to be able to see into that pipe has been, for me, was something that just made me want to continue investigating and further going into what other types of technologies are available in this. And obviously locating and then I remember the first time I saw color on, it's like Wizard of Oz. It's like my Wizard of Oz moment inside of a sewer. But seeing the color and just understanding, you see the clay, you see the misaligned joints so much better, you see the tree roots and the water, and it's just, it puts a whole new perspective to it. So, but from that, one thing I did learn is that there was opportunity there.
Yeah.
When the customer saw that, the impact it made and the realization of what the situation was. I don't remember the customer's name at the time, but Mr. Jones, take a look at this for yourself. We're not trying to mask anything. We're not trying to hide anything. We're not trying to sell them a bill of goods that isn't true. It's verification. It's knowledge, and it's understanding so that you can move forward.
Yeah, and I think I've long said that the best way to make sales is to educate. And it becomes less of, you don't sound like you're selling something if you're just educating. So whether you have a high-speed machine or not, that's somewhat irrelevant. Yeah, you can do a ton with those with cameras, but even if you're just still cabling out drains, throwing a camera down the line and showing the customer what's going on. Yeah, I mean this is what's happening. There's no like, it's when you send your car off to the mechanic or something like that, you don't know what's going on. I don't know. Yeah. But when it comes to cameras, I'm showing you exactly, this is exactly what's going on. And so, and it changes the dynamic of selling. It's a lot less of, it's the trust level is different, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It adds a level of credibility. And, I remember having a camera, the first camera I bought was a rigid camera, and it was great. And it just created tons of opportunity for us. But it also helped us to verify that we were doing a good job. Yeah. When you jet something or when you cable something, because this was way back before the Pacote days, and so you always wanted to know that you were doing the best job that you could. And if you're like me and you're cabling a drain or jetting a line, if you saw any like little dangling roots, you just at least for me, if I saw those on the camera, I had to get those out. Yeah. And I just felt like I didn't do a good enough job if I showed somebody a video inspection and I still saw something. So we would always try and do our absolute best. And I think the reason we tried to strive for that so much was because of the camera. We could see it. And if we saw it and it bothered me, it's probably going to bother the customer who's paying good money to have that done. And they got to live with it, right? Yeah. So, and that just springboarded into opportunity after opportunity. And that's how I ended up getting into patching. Doing pipe patching and lining and all of that. So seeing inside the pipe is so powerful, and it creates so much opportunity. So
yeah, and there's tons of other like when you're talking about patching, you use your camera for measuring, you use it for locating if you need to on a dig or something like that. There's all kinds of different things you can use them for. Yeah, and there's I think some guys hear cameras and they're like, oh gosh, those are expensive. And yeah, there's tons of expensive cameras, but there's also super affordable options
Right.
that, we use a ton of them out here. The ones we use, I mean, I love those things. They've held up really well. You can change all kinds of stuff. I mean, I love those because I'm never worried when I'm on a job, about throwing one of those down. I mean, I've lost some camera heads.
Yeah.
On some of your expensive cameras.
Yeah. I do remember that one job.
So that was a shame. But
it happens to the best of us.
I should have never put the camera in that position. Probably.
That's okay. It was like what, 2 a.m?
It was a 36-hour shift.
It was a very, very long night at the nursing home. Man, we get into some doozies sometimes. Yeah, that was a fun job. But that right there, seeing the bottom gone. So let's talk about that for a second, because in situations like that, that's like a perfect example of if you didn't have a camera, how could you possibly undertake a project like that?
Oh, it would have been
because
impossible.
you would lose anything you put in that pipe is gone. Total goner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and so context, the weight of the camera head, 4-inch pipe, I knew it was, pretty fragile on the bottom.
Right.
So, me and Ari, I chatted with him. I was like, I should just put a 6-inch guide on there, right? Just put a 6-inch guide. I know there's no way that it's going to fall through the pipe. Like, no way.
Yeah. Right through.
I mean,
but also in your
right down.
defense, that the pipe was shot completely. Shot,
it was horrendous,
and it was flooded. So it was the underside of a kitchen cafeteria area in a VA home, a nursing home, and the pipe was just
and boy, there's so much cleaner poured down those pipes.
Oh yeah,
you opened them up and it was just like
I think there were like
pine soap
bottles like sitting around in corners.
Horrendous.
Like the first time we went there to go check out do like a job walk, it was like liquid fire.
It was
like sitting in
like
the
foaming while we were cleaning it.
Yeah, the place was terrible.
But that pipe, so that particular pipe that I was working on, it had, I think it was like 60 feet of 4-inch. Threw a little floor clean out, and then, I mean, I think it was like 10 feet in the trench rot started.
Yeah.
And it was like,
you couldn't see it because it was like half full of water.
Yeah, and honestly,
really
upon first inspection, it was okay.
Yeah,
there was a bottom there. It was just about this thin.
Yeah.
And the moment we did anything, and honestly, that was the one on that job. I think we did like 9 liners on that job in a couple days. But that was the first drain that we went into, and that was the one that was like, everyone stop. Like there's been tons of cleaner poured down these lines, or because that was kind of a sight unseen bid at the time.
Right.
So, but having the camera in there and seeing, and honestly, what happened is we switched from that camera, right? Ended up pulling the head off that camera. Actually pulled the head off the camera, beat it down under the pipe with a 2-inch stick of PVC.
That's right. I forgot about that.
I was in that trench for probably 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, that was a
My back was soggy for a week.
Yeah, that was a rough job.
But
we got it done though.
Yeah, we did, and then used some marbles to get the camera to go through, because we'd already, the drain already had holes in it. We had to figure something out, Used some marbles, and then used one of our cheap cameras and just pushed it over the top of the marbles all the way down.
What was amazing on that one was we lost a camera head with a giant skid on it, and then we filled it with marbles, and then went in with a camera head that's like less than an inch big.
Right. Yeah.
It never got stuck.
And then aligned that sucker, and it turned out awesome.
Yeah, it looked beautiful. That was a rough job. But again, we used, how many different cameras did we have on site for that? Because we had pencil cams.
Oh, we all had
through
at
2-inch
least
traps.
one camera.
We had several vent lines we had to go through that were small diameter. So we had several different versions.
And on that same job, I had to do a reinstatement. So some guys that we were training were trying to do a reinstatement, and just didn't really pay a lot of attention to the mini cleaner, and they actually roasted the casing on the mini cleaner. And they tried several times before they alerted me. It's like, hey, the casing's all down inside there. So that was tough. And so it was 1.25-inch access, straight T into 2-inch. And there was like a 90 or 2 and at least 2 45s with casing inside, and the drain was just full of crap. Yeah. And was able to put one of our pencil cameras through that and go in. And it took a while, but actually was able to get the mini Miller through that T. and went down and made that reinstatement. But there is absolutely no chance that gets reinstated from the branch line without a camera. I mean, zero chance.
Yeah. Yeah. So along those lines, the whole reason we're talking about cameras is obviously that it's extremely important.
Right.
But we just so happen to sell them.
We do.
Which is great. It's convenient for us because we always have a camera on hand. But we have several versions, and I guess what I was going to say is that there's no one size fits all for cameras. There's cameras for all different types of applications, from super small pencil cams all the way up to crawler cameras. Really, I mean, at the end of the day, there's cameras that go into massive pipes if you needed that, and so we focus mostly in the range of 1.25 inch to 8 inch, really, but we do have the ability to go bigger. We'll talk a little bit about the Reisler cameras, which is a great German company that we've just partnered with to bring their camera technology to the United States. So we're super stoked about that. But they make amazing cameras. I mean, the little cam sitting behind us there can go through a 2-inch P-trap that's a lined 2-inch P-trap. So it's super versatile. But then they also make these really robust mainline crawlers as well with software and the whole 9 yards. So what's been your experience? I mean, just having the access to so many different varieties of cameras, in the range of work that we do, the training that we do, the versatility of the whole range, just from the German ones to the Chinese ones and so on.
It's, not that everyone will have that many cameras all the time.
Right.
And a part of the reason we do the cheaper ones is because you can. But it's the ability to just know that I'm covered with what I'm going to do is like, there's so many opportunities of things I can do. If I need to go through a 2-inch P-trap, I can.
Yeah, right.
But also, I mean, that same camera, I'm not going to do a 4-inch line with that camera.
Right.
It'll look terrible.
Yeah.
Not the cheaper Chinese ones, but to be able to do that and not worry about the camera, didn't have it in the line, because part of it is there's plenty of cameras that can do really, really cool stuff, but do I really want those in the line with all my tools?
Right.
If there's great inspection cameras and final pull-through video cameras, but that's not necessarily the one that I want to be slamming through a 2-inch P-trap and trying to clean it out with a mini cleaner.
Right. Yeah. That's a
and
good point.
Just being able to kind of go back and forth for things like that, and I mean it makes it so much easier. And like on a job site, I mean, it's the availability of, I'll just grab this camera and this one.
Right. Yeah.
Because on that reinstatement, I had 2 different cameras. I was in a bathroom group. I was going through a sink and into a toilet line. So we had lined the toilet line. I had a camera down the toilet line, and I had a different camera, one of the pencil cams, in that 2-inch. And just to be able to do that, because no other camera was going to get through that 1.25 T.
Yeah.
Which that was horrendous, but just that availability. I don't think that line gets reinstated without both of those cameras.
Yeah, for sure.
And just having that option is huge.
Right. Yeah. So, again, we have several different styles of cameras. The whole reason that we are selling a more budget-friendly camera is that, we're looking for opportunity. We're trying to create opportunity in the pipe. And so one great example of that is a local contractor here, good friend of ours. He came in and bought 15 of those. This is many months ago now, maybe even a year ago. Came in, bought 15 of the budget-friendly Chinese cameras, the Quick Sight series cameras that we offer, and he saw like a 60% increase.
Yeah.
By putting those cameras into those 15 trucks. Saw a massive jump in revenue, in sales.
Right.
Because his guys were uncovering opportunity after opportunity. And for him, he's trying to create a bit of a foundation based on trenchless technology here in the area. And so his idea is if we get a camera in every line, then we're finding more and more opportunity. And so, and it also helps verify, like we've talked about. So it's really been huge for him. And so, these budget-friendly cameras are great because, for those guys, it's convenient because we're close. But he can come and pick up parts, but
Right,
the
yeah.
parts are like next to nothing. So if a camera head goes bad, you take the camera head off and you put a new one on for a few $100.
$100.
You're done.
You're not sent.
There's no
And I think
downtime,
the
and you do it yourself.
downtime. Yeah, I think the downtime is a huge thing because
Oh yeah,
your camera's a moneymaker. So if you have to spend a little bit of money on it, okay, that's one thing. But it's the moneymaker, so
Yeah.
you want to have it.
Right.
So if you have extra parts that you can easily repair it yourself.
yeah, yeah. And that's the whole idea of these things is if the push rod kinks or breaks, we ship you a new one. We can overnight things. You get it right away, and you replace it yourself. It's all like within 5 minutes you could have the whole thing kind of rebuilt.
Yeah.
Camera head literally takes 30 seconds to screw on and screw off.
Tops.
It's like
Yeah.
super user friendly. You don't have to worry about twisting up wires or anything like that.
If you
Just
can
unthread it.
open a Coke
Okay. Yeah,
bottle,
it's true.
you can put one of those camera
That's
heads
true.
on.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that's easy for most people. Yeah. But yeah, it's super simple, very user friendly. Pop the head off, pop a new one on. They're pretty interchangeable too. So if you said, hey, I would like to have a self-leveling head,
Right, yeah.
we send you a self-leveling head and you screw it on and you're in business with a self-leveling head. If you want one with a sond or no sond, we have all those
Right,
options
those
available. The push rods switch out, the batteries switch out, the screens switch out. It's all like super easy to swap the parts out. So,
Yeah, and I think that flexibility is what I like so much about the Riser cameras.
yeah. They're very similar. Yeah, they have that
Yeah,
same
they
slip
are-
ring design.
Yeah, and they are, they're more expensive, obviously, but golly, they are awesome.
Yeah,
the
I've
ability
been
to
really
interchange
impressed.
things like that
Yeah.
is, and they're just functional.
Yeah. And the picture's amazing. The picture's really good
Yeah.
on those Rislers.
Yeah, they have like a 3
Super
millimeter
space.
focus range.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they do a great job. And they've been around for years and years, like 25 years, I think.
Yeah, they're new here, but they're not new to the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, they've been around for a long time. Great cameras. We've got a range of those available. So if you get a chance, check out risler.eu. We've also got some information on draingear.com where you can kind of go and check those out there. We're adding all the time to the Drain Gear website. We've also got the APS website, AmericanPipeliningsupplies.com. All kind of under construction but functional. You can go there, find information, and you can buy on Drain Gear, which is great. So it's an online shop, which is cool. And so part of the reason that we wanted to do this podcast is because, there's lots of things to talk about in this business. And I don't know what our next topic will be, but understanding what you're doing in the field is critical. And I would say the one thing that I've learned over the past, I'll say 6 or 7 years, is that new technology is coming all the time. There's new technology, new opportunities, new types of tools and equipment kind of emerging all the time. There's a lot of hidden gems, I guess you could say, in Europe. And so traveling around like I have over the years,
Well, that's why we exist.
being able to see, some of the cool things I've seen at some of these big trade shows in Europe has been real eye-opening. And there's a lot out there. And our goal is to bring some of those cool things to the United States and talk about them, just like we did with Pacote. We beat the Pacote drum for a long time. We still do. We're still, we're still part of the Pacote family, and very proud of that. Very pleased and impressed with them and their team and all that they have to offer. So, so it's just like that with any of our partners. So Risler and some of the other people that we're partnering with as we move forward through this, we're going to draw attention to it. We're going to educate. Like you said, a lot of this is education. And if plumbers and drain guys know what they've got, they can provide a really good service for their customers. So
And I think part of, at least the way I view it, is part of our job or our goal here at APS is to take people from So we moved from, we were with Pacote for a long time, and now we've just kind of taken that next step. Which is now we're cleaning drains really well. Like the United States has adapted to a lot of that that technology. But there's a next step, because if you can clean a drain, you can patch a drain, you can line a drain, you can coat a drain. Or you can burst, whatever you're doing. So it's just, I think part of my hope is that we see guys move from just the drain cleaning and descaling to
Yeah.
that next step, which is fully, repairing it.
Right.
And cameras, all of those things involve cameras.
Yeah.
And I think, kind of our goal was, we went around the world, saw this awesome stuff. And we want to bring that back to
Right.
the States and help guys kind of take the next step in the trenchless market.
Yeah.
And obviously these cameras are a huge part of that. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of how I see it. But
So what are we going to talk about next time?
I don't know. What are we going to talk about next time?
Yeah, guys, if you have any
What about
ideas on what we could do or should do, we would love some topics. If you guys have anything you would want to share with us, we would be happy to take that into consideration and figure out an episode for it. So
Yeah, I think that for us here, anytime that I want to look at some kind of product or understand some kind of process, I go online.
yeah,
And I wish for everything that I would like to buy, whether it's for Jeeps or mountain bikes or
Yeah.
all of the fun things in the consumer side, I wish there was a video where someone would just say, this is what you need and why you need it.
yeah,
From people that have actually done it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I feel like this is gonna,
yeah,
just an outlet for guys to understand,
right,
to really get
yeah.
down in the
And I wouldn't say we're experts on everything, but we definitely know the value of having a camera in the line. I wouldn't say that this is something that is a giant sales pitch. It's just it's really important to educate on what is available. There's still a lot of guys that don't have cameras, or maybe they have one camera in their entire organization and it kind of floats around because they don't really know there's budget friendly options available. So take a look. We're happy to help educate you on anything that we can regarding cameras. We've got a few different options available. We've also got locating equipment available to kind of go along with those for locating the camera heads and cables and things like that. So we'll figure out what our next topic's going to be, and maybe we have a few people that give us a recommendation, and then we'll start to build out a little bit of a schedule. But we're pretty stoked about this opportunity to bring some educational information to you guys. Let you guys know who we are, what we're doing here at APS, keep you all informed. And I'm super excited for what the future holds for this group here. So
yeah, same.
Cool. With that, I'm Jake.
I'm Elijah.
We're signing off. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Until next time. See ya.